Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Hub. I'm Joey Huebsch, and joining me today are Jacob Sennholz and Michael Wengrzyn. Guys, it's finally May. We finally made it to May. So there's only 2 weeks left in the semester. How are you guys feeling heading to the final stretch?
I think this Giants semester has been pretty long. I feel like, it's probably been longer than the first semester went, but, again, 2 weeks left. We just got to finish strong with our classes, and then all that's left is just finals. And in Jake's case, a little bit more after finals. And
Yeah, me too.
And Joey.
Yes, Joey as well. A few other of us might as well address it right off the bat. Joey's graduating, I'm graduating, a lot of us are, so this is going to be our last show. Hope it's a good one. But Michael, I feel actually the opposite. I think that this spring went a lot faster for me because winter was so miserable is probably my number one reason. But I guess playoffs are in full bloom, 2 weeks away from graduation. A lot to be happy about.
Okay, let's get into this. On this episode, we'll be talking about the NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers, the NHL Playoffs, a Motorsports update, the NBA Playoffs, and our favorite segment, Buy or Sell. The 2019 NFL Draft took place in Nashville last week, and all 32 teams now have selected their newest draft classes. The biggest question of who would go first overall was answered when quarterback Kyle Murray was selected by the Arizona Cardinals, followed by defensive end Nick Bosa going to the San Francisco 49ers, second overall. A few surprise picks took place in the top 10, such as defensive end Clelin Ferrell being selected at number 4 by the Oakland Raiders, while quarterback Daniel Jones was drafted by the New York Giants at number 6. Looking at the first round selection, were there any picks that stood out to you guys or surprised or impressed you?
Well, as you mentioned it right there, Joey, the Giants, obviously we're looking for a quarterback. The next quarterback after Eli Manning is retired or out of the organization. And I think that, they made some serious headlines by drafting Daniel Jones, the quarterback out of Duke or whatever, at not only in the first round, but also at number 6 overall. You still had Dwayne Haskins on the board. You still had Drew Lock on the board as well. Their selection with Daniel Jones, it's a huge surprise to me because, he got pretty bad statistics, not necessarily overall, but he had some not so great stats while he was the quarterback at Duke. And I don't know exactly what the Giants were thinking. Dave Gettleman, the GM, must have saw something in him that maybe we didn't see, but I don't think really Daniel Jones was the right pick necessarily. I think Drew Lock was considerably a much better idea for the Giants to go after in this draft, but that probably definitely surprised not only me, but a lot of people as well.
Well, Daniel Jones definitely had some questionable losses, some questionable performances at his time at Duke in college, but you bring up a guy in Drew Lock. I had him going, I think, 10 overall to the Broncos, I believe that's where the Broncos were selecting. He ended up falling all the way to the second round, and then you got a guy in Dwayne Haskins who people thought he'd be a top 5, top 6 pick maybe, and he fell to 15. So, again, a guy like Daniel Jones jumps those two guys, especially Drew Lock, who fell all the way out of the first round. That really surprised me. Another one, of course, as you mentioned, Joey, Clelin Ferrell at number 4 overall.
Yeah.
Mike Mayock's very first pick as general manager of any team, but obviously new regime there at the head of the Oakland Raiders. So interesting pick there, but you got to trust him and John Gruden. Again, I think Mayock knows how important this first pick was for him, and the number 4 overall spot. You got to think that he saw something special in Clelin Ferrell.
Yeah, and also talking about impressive picks too, I was very impressed by what the Pittsburgh Steelers did at number 10. They traded with the Denver Broncos. The Broncos got the Steelers' later round pick, and the Steelers were able to jump up to number 10. They got a very solid linebacker in Devin Bush, and I think if Pittsburgh had not jumped up to number 10, I think Green Bay was all set to draft Devin Bush because he was definitely the best linebacker on the board at that point. So great pickup by Pittsburgh right there, looking for somebody to replace Ryan Shazier for this upcoming season.
Well, and that was all the talk, too. I mean, almost everybody in their mock drafts, and we said it here, we thought Devin Bush was probably going to go to the Packers, right? And obviously the Steelers heard that talk as well. They wanted him more, so they jumped up and grabbed him at number 10.
And somebody that I kind of surprised that fell out was G.J. Metcalf. That was very surprising that there was a couple other receivers that jumped him.
DK Metcalf was my second overall wide receiver on the board. I did think that Marquise Brown was going to go before Metcalf, but I had Metcalf going like 1 or 2 picks after Brown. I agree, Joey. He fell out of the first round. It must have been something that these coaches or scouts saw beyond. We like to get wrapped up in the physical specimen, this big, crazy-looking guy, but the scouts must have saw something different. He ended up going to Seattle.
Yeah, and I think that's a great pickup, too, for Seattle. They're looking for wide receivers at this point right now.
Okay, let's just move on to the Packers now. They made some picks of their own in the first round as they held 2 selections at number 12 and 30. With the 12th overall pick, the Packers selected linebacker Rashawn Gary from the University of Michigan. As the first round progressed, the Packers would then trade with the Seattle Seahawks their 30th overall pick and 2 fourth-round picks for the Seahawks pick at number 21. With the acquired pick, the Packers selected safety Darnell Savage from the University of Maryland. Other notable picks in the later rounds from the Packers include center Eagleton Jenkins, tight end Jay Steinberger, and defensive end Kingsley Keke. What do you guys think of the Packers' first-round selections, and what grade would you guys give the Packers on their draft?
It's always hard to draft a grade immediately, right? But I would say this is probably a B draft class. I think that moving up to number 21 to get a player like Darnell Savage, that's a power move. It's a confidence move. Green Bay, they could have sat at number 30 and maybe hoped that he dropped to them, but they didn't. They knew what they wanted. They moved up to 21 to get him. As far as Rashawn Gary, I had him going 6th overall to the Giants originally, so I had him as a very, very top of the first-round talent. And I think it was just a best player available situation for the Packers, given that both Devins and Devin Bush and Devin White were off the board, and then T.J. Hawkinson, the incredible tight end, was off the board by that time as well. So at that point, you go with best player available, and I think that was Gary.
I think a B grade for the Packers for this draft is probably what I would say too. Again, Rashawn Gary has had a lot of questions about his health, in college, and he was also kind of underperforming at college because part of it too was because he got double teamed a lot at Michigan. But very solid linebacker. I think he can provide a lot of outside rush for that Packers defense. And again, going back to Savage as well, Green Bay, that was a very good pick on their part, moving up to get Darnell Savage. I think Baltimore had their eyes on him, and I know they just recently signed Earl Thomas. So, getting that safety, probably the number 2 safety in the draft right there at number 21, I think is a good pick right there for Green Bay. And I'm excited to see these first 2-round picks as they get ready now to join Mike Pettine's defense and a more well-structured Packers team.
Also, keep your eye on, I'm forgetting his name. I looked it up before the show. I wish I remembered it, but it was their 5th or 6th round draft pick. He's out of Temple. He's also a cornerback. He's got the same exact numbers and statistics as Darnell Savage. He's got the same 40 time and all these measurements. Keep your eye on him, too. He's not as notable of a player. Again, he was like a 6th round draft pick, but he could be impactful for the Packers. Yeah,
another notable pick right there for the Packers secondary, even though the cornerback situation wasn't as strong of a need as it was last year.
We also found it interesting that Packers did opposite of what they normally do, is trade out of the first round. They actually trade up, like totally different from normal.
That's an excellent point. When you're sitting there at number 30, I thought it too. I was like, well, typical Packers, they're probably going to trade back to like the later part of the second round and get 2 or 3 picks, especially sitting at number 30, but they didn't. They, as I said, they liked the guy. They used their pick and went up and got him, and that's not usual for the Packers. That's a great point, Joey. I like to see it, though. It kind of does show that maybe Gutekunst is going to go in a different direction over the course of his time in Green Bay than we saw with Ted Thompson.
Much more aggressive decisions, too, by Gutekunst as well. Nothing we really ever saw from Thompson during his last few years as general manager.
Well, hopefully it'll help the Packers next season. After a quick commercial break, we'll be back with the NHL playoffs and our Motorsports update.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that. And it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Welcome back. The NHL playoffs have been full of surprises, intrigue, and great games this year. Perhaps the best of all the storylines is being provided from an unlikely source. The Carolina Hurricanes, after knocking off the defending Stanley Cup champs in 7 games in round 1, the 7th-seeded Hurricanes are wasting no time as they look to sweep the New York Islanders Friday night and enjoy a few extra days off while they wait to find out if it will be Columbus or Boston facing them in the conference finals. Columbus currently leads that series 2-1 thanks in large part to goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, who is having an unbelievable postseason. Through 7 total games, he has made 208 saves on 22 shots, giving him a 93.7 save percentage and a 1.88 goals against average. The puck drops on Game 4 this evening. Things are a bit tighter in the West with the Dallas Stars and the St. Louis Blues tied at 2 games apiece, while the Sharks lead the Avalanche 2-1. The Sharks and Avalanche also play their Game 4 tonight. Playoff hockey sure is wild, guys, isn't it?
It is. It is incredibly wild. That's the only way to describe it, I think.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting NHL postseason from what we've seen so far. You know what? I think we're still in for some good hockey. Any series potentially has, with the exception of Carolina's, of course, has the potential to go 6-7 games.
Yeah.
I think that's what we want to see.
Yeah. So how far do you guys, since the Sharks are leading their series, how far do you think they can go without Pavelski after his injury?
I mean, obviously you want your captain there. Pavelski's one of the best players in the league, one of the best players on that team, if not the best player. Obviously having him around and on the ice is the situation that you want. Now, we've seen them have success. They had that incredible turnaround game against the Golden Knights. They ended up scoring 4 power play goals, which we've talked about on the show before. They ended up winning that series. They did it all without Pavelski.
I believe that was also in 5 minutes as well, like 4 power play goals in 5 minutes.
In less than 5 minutes, yeah, and they ended up winning that game. So you've seen them be able to win without Pavelski. Obviously, you want him out there, and I think how long is he supposed to be out?
I have
not sure.
He was questionable for the last couple games.
Yeah, for the last. So if you can get another win under your belt, especially, and you give yourself that 3-1 cushion, give him a little bit more time to come back. I think the Sharks have still the same amount of potential, even with Pavelski off the ice, just because of how deep they are and how experienced they are.
Yeah, Pavelski's a one-of-a-kind player as well. Great player on all assets, whether it's on the ice or off the ice. He's a great player, and having him out there on the ice, the Sharks really follow his lead very well. But it hasn't looked like the Sharks haven't been able to play well without him. Obviously, they have a 2-1 series lead against the Avalanche right now, so obviously, they still have to win 2 more games to advance to the Western Conference Finals. But Pavelski, if he's there, whether it's not only on the ice, but also just like there on the bench, for his teammates, it's going to carry out in the long run, I think, for the Sharks. And it would be nice to have him if the Sharks do go to the Western Conference Finals, for him to be there as well, with the chance to possibly go back to another Stanley Cup Finals.
So if they would get to the Stanley Cup, would they be able to win it without him, or are they going to need him a little bit if they would get to the Cup Finals?
Well, for me, the winner of the Stanley Cup was probably going to come out of the West this year. They're just a stronger conference in the East. I know Malik would probably disagree with that, but again, you saw the top, or quote-unquote, the top teams in the East already be eliminated in your Caps, in your Penguins, your regular contenders. So now you've got teams over there like Carolina, who they are a fantastic team, and obviously they could make it, and probably even will make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. But are they a deep enough, more experienced enough team, or is this just a great story that's going to take them to the finals and then they're going to get stomped by whoever comes out of the West? I just think that the West is a stronger division, and I think right now the Sharks look to be the best team in that division. I think they had a really close call with another extremely talented team in the Las Vegas Golden Knights, but they scraped their way out of that series. Now they're leading an Avalanche team, which is another team that's so young and so loaded with talent. Nathan MacKinnon, superstar. That guy's incredible, but it's another team that just when you hit a team like the Sharks, it's hard to overcome in the playoffs. So I do think that the Sharks can win it without Pavelski, but knowing Pavelski And the fact that he's a hockey player, he'll be back. He'll be back,
back.
especially if they make the finals.
Yeah, and you just real quick, you mentioned teams in the East, like the top teams in the East going down pretty heavily. There have also been top teams in the West as well that have gone down. Calgary, Nashville, Vegas, all those teams went down. If Pavelski can win against those teams, and the Sharks as well can win against those teams, I think they have a fair legitimate chance, but it's also going to come down to how well they play here to win these next 2 games, hopefully, and get to the Western Conference Finals.
That's an incredible point, Mike. As Joey alluded to earlier in this segment, these playoffs have been crazy. The top contenders from both the East and the West have fallen. I think that a team like Columbus, riding your hot goaltender, it works for a while, but we saw him have to make almost 60 saves in order to win a game the other night, and I don't know if you're able to carry that on through. So right now, for me, the Sharks are the favorites.
I would agree so, too.
So based on that, what are your Cup predictions currently right now?
I think for me right now, as Jake and I both said, we have the Sharks coming out of the West, but in the East, I think I got to go with Columbus. Actually, they've been the huge surprise this playoffs so far. They think they were only given a 4% chance to even get to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they blew past the Lightning easily. And right now, they also have a 2-1 series lead. If it comes down to maybe Carolina versus Columbus in the Eastern Conference Finals, obviously Columbus wouldn't be the one with the home ice advantage, but they have the ability. They have a lot of great pieces right there to get as far as they want to go, and I think it'd be really cool to see Columbus versus San Jose.
And I think that is the series that we're going to get, referring to Columbus versus Carolina for their conference finals. Who comes out of that series? I think it's a toss-up. I think it's going to be Carolina if it comes down to that, just because Bobrovsky has been playing incredible, but as I just mentioned a second ago, you can only ride a hot goaltender so long when you're making him make 60 saves per game. When we usually see teams ride a hot goaltender, they're making 25, 30 incredible saves per game, not 55 or 60. So the Carolina Hurricanes' ability to score mixed with the Columbus Blue Jackets' lack of defense that we've been seeing throughout the playoffs, I think is where the Blue Jackets are finally going to fall. So my predictions now are San Jose out of the West, Carolina out of the East.
Interesting.
We now move on to our Motorsports update. The 10th race of the 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup season took place Sunday at Talladega Superspeedway. Chase Elliott held off teammate Alex Bowman and rookie Ryan Preece to get his 4th career win, his first at Talladega. Elliott captured the lead for the final time during a 4-lap shootout to the finish, getting past Team Penske's Joe Logano and Chip Ganassi Racing's Kurt Busch in turns 3 and 4 with 3 laps to go. The race ended under caution after Kyle Larson flipped multiple times on the backstretch. Elliott was one of 6 Chevrolets who finished in the top 10. Elliott's victory was Chevy's first win since last October at Kansas Speedway and broke a 7-race winning streak for Ford at Talladega. They now head to Dover International Speedway for the 11th race of the season. Chase Elliott will look to win back-to-back races this season and back-to-back at Dover. The 9th race of the Xfinity Series season took place Saturday at Talladega. Richard Childress Racing's and defending series champion Tyler Reddick held off a hard-charging Gray Gaulding to capture his 4th career win, his first this season. Reddick overcame a pit road speeding penalty and significant damage to the right side of his number 2 Chevrolet to get the win and a $1,000 Dash for cash bonus. Reddick extended his points lead to 32 points over Joe Gibbs Racing's Christopher Bell. The Xfinity Series and the Gander Outdoors Truck Series will both be in action this weekend at Dover, with the Truck Series racing Friday evening and the Xfinity Series racing Saturday afternoon. Red Bull KTM's Cooper Webb won his 7th race of the Monster Energy Supercross season Saturday at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Webb now has a comfortable 23-point lead in the point standings heading into the season finale this weekend at Las Vegas. Monster Energy Kawasaki's Eli Tomac was in position to get his 6th win of the season, but crashed twice in the whoops, handing the win over to Cooper Webb. The series now heads to Las Vegas this weekend for the season finale. Mercedes' Valtteri Bottas held off his teammate Lewis Hamilton to win Azerbaijan Grand Prix, his 2nd win of the season. It was the 4th straight race that Mercedes finished 1 and 2. The win gives Bottas championship lead by 1 point after 4 races. Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel finished a distant 3rd. The series now heads to Spain on May 12th for the 5th race of the 2019 season. That is all I have for our Motorsports update. After our final commercial break, we'll be back with the NBA playoffs and our buy or sell segment.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
It's a university where professors know your name and get you involved in research.
They inspire us to realize big dreams.
At UW-Stevens Point, sustainability is what we stand for.
Our beautiful campus encourages exploration, developing new fields, and problem solving for the real world.
It's a great place to launch your career.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
Apply today at uwsp.edu.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Welcome back to the Sports Hub on SPTV. I'm Joseph Huebsch, and joining me is Jacob Sennholz and Michael Wengrzyn. The second round of the 2019 NBA playoffs is underway as 2 games have already been played in each series. In the Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks are tied at 1 game with the Boston Celtics, while the Toronto Raptors and Philadelphia 76ers are also at 1 game apiece. In the West, the Golden State Warriors hold a 2-0 series lead against the Houston Rockets, and the Portland Trail Blazers and Denver Nuggets have split the first 2 games of their series. With all but 1 playoff series currently tied at 1 game apiece, which series has the potential to go 6 to 7 games?
Well, I think obviously we all know the saying Bucks in 6, but to be fair, if Milwaukee can win tomorrow night, on the road in Boston, I have a feeling they could get it done possibly in 5 games. But obviously Boston and Milwaukee are probably 2 of the top teams right now in the East. Obviously Milwaukee's number 1. So, that series I could see going to 6 games at the very least. As for the Western Conference, the series between Denver and Portland, both teams have been very good. Obviously, Damian Lillard hit that game winner for Portland to send them into the second round, and Denver also has very good pieces put out there on the floor. So if that series goes to 6 or 7 games, I wouldn't be surprised either way. But again, it's just going to come down to winning on the road. That's very important, in any kind of playoff series in any sport. So, getting out there on the road and winning games and, just playing good basketball overall, that's pretty much the keys of how you're going to win.
If the Bucks somehow took this series in 5 games, I would be incredibly impressed, especially after what we saw in Game 1.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, you get destroyed on your home court in the first game and then go out and win 4 games in a row, including back-to-back in Boston.
Yeah.
That would be something crazy. Yeah. So I'm not quite going to push it and start saying Bucks in 5. Yeah. Bucks in 6, maybe a possibility. I think this goes 7 games. I think they do steal 1, probably Game 4. I think Boston's going to be rocking for that Game 3, and they're probably going to win. But I don't think that for Game 1 or Game 2 really told us very much about how this series is going to shape out. I think each team just had a good night when the other team was having a bad night. First, Game 1, Giannis had a bad night. Game 2, Kyrie had a bad night. So I think the series really starts here with Game 3, and I think they're going to go 7 games. One series that I know is not going to go 7 games is the Rockets and the Warriors. Oh, yeah. Again, sorry to say it, Malik. I know you're not, you're off camera, so you're not able to defend yourself today. But the Rockets, man, they can't win. They can't beat the Warriors. They talk themselves into it every year. They think they can do it. You can throw any numbers you want at it. They can't beat the Warriors, and I stand firm on that. They might get 1 game, but you want to see it. You want to see a series that's going to go 5 games. Look at that series.
And they do have the supposed league MVP as well on their side. Again, they'll find a way to win at least 1. A game or 2. Yeah. I could see them winning 2 at the most, but I think Golden State is going to unfortunately ride off into the Western Conference Finals. I think Houston's egg has been kind of cooked at this point. But again, also too, just really real quick back to the Bucks. They do also have the home court advantage. So if Game 7 was to come down to that, they would have that at the Pfizer Forum, which would really help out as long as they don't play terribly as well as they did in Game 1.
Yeah, I think the series that is definitely going to go 7 is Portland and Denver. because they're so equal. I watched the game the last night or 2 nights ago, and they were so even. I think that one definitely goes, and the Warriors probably get it in 5. The Rockets probably get game 3 or 4, probably 4, and then the Warriors finish it off at home.
Yeah, and I think that that Portland and Denver series may be one of the best series going on right now. Also, probably also the most underrated. There is stars. Damian Lillard is turning into a star. Jokic, there is stars, but they're not the mega name superstars like you get with a Giannis or with a James Harden or name anybody on the Warriors. But Kawhi Leonard up in Toronto. So neither of these teams have a name quite like that, but they're both, as you mentioned, incredibly evenly matched and great basketball teams.
Yeah. So which teams do you see posing a legitimate chance to advance to the finals?
Well, Milwaukee going to the NBA Finals would be really cool, obviously, with how they've been all season, the #1 team in the league. But, it's going to come down to consistency, winning games, and pretty much having that same kind of play each and every night, or in each and every game. But when it comes down to it, I think, I said too, like a couple shows ago, that Golden State was going to be taken down. I think Denver's got a chance. They got a legitimate chance to possibly win and go to the NBA Finals. But of course, they're going to have to go up against a tough Golden State team if it comes down to that. But I'll say Milwaukee just for the heck of it. But keep an eye out too for the 76ers, even though they're not as strong as of a team as most people say they are. So it'll be interesting to see how the finals would shape out.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the East, it's pretty much the teams that we've been saying, the 3 teams we've been saying all year long, right? In Toronto, Boston, and Milwaukee. Philadelphia has looked good. They've looked fine throughout these playoffs. I don't think they're going to get past Toronto, though. So I think any one of those 3 teams has a legitimate chance to get to the finals. But in the West, I'm just not convinced anybody can beat the Warriors. At this point, I'm very much on a prove it to me side of things, where until the Warriors actually lose 4 out of 7 games to somebody, I just don't really see them going down. Maybe in the finals, but that's not the conversation we're having here. I think the Warriors once again reach the finals, and I don't think it's going to be that hard for them.
No, I think Portland. I like Portland for some reason. I think they might have a shot at taking down the Warriors, but I just don't see anybody beating the Warriors in 4 games.
Damian Lillard versus Steph Curry would be fun for 7 games.
It would be a good matchup.
Yeah, it would be.
So now to wrap up the show, guys, let's do some buy or sell. First one, the Packers will have at least 4 rookie starters this season.
Wow, 4 rookie starters. I am going to say, I'm going to sell that, I think. Hopefully 1 on the line, 2 on defense. I don't know where that 4th one really maybe comes in, though. So I'm going to say probably 3.
Yeah, I'm with Jake as well. I'm going to sell that as well. I could possibly see Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage, probably even behind Adrian Amos at first. But and then of course the newest tight end, Jay Sternberger. He might potentially be there if Jimmy Graham is not producing. If what Green Bay is looking for.
Offensive lineman might be a possibility.
Maybe.
Possibility.
Yeah, that's the only place I would see a 4th, possibly.
Yeah. You got to hope at least 3, though.
Yeah,
right.
At least 3. Kyle Busch will win at least 10 Cup races this season.
Oh, my God, yes.
10?
10, yes, he will. This is the year of Kyle Busch. That guy is just, he's something else. I learned a lot about him when I went down to Bristol about a month ago now. And been watching a little bit more racing now than I ever have, and he's just too good, man. He's too good. It's not fair.
Well, it was about 10 years ago was the last time somebody's won double digit. So.
Well, he's already got double-digit wins on the season overall, right?
Well, yeah, overall.
Right, but not Cup races. But
still. But even then, the last person to win double-digit races didn't win the championship at the end of the year. Yeah. So I'm going to sell that. I think Kyle Busch is going to win quite a substantial number of races this year, but. I don't think it's going to be double digits, but you can definitely expect to see him there for a run at the championship at the end of the season.
Yeah. He'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll sell it. I say he gets 6 wins, just a little down from last year where he got 8.
If Joey Logano would start stepping up and win these races that he
might
could
get
win,
5.
That he could win.
He'll probably get at least 5.
It should have been Joey Logano at Bristol.
Yeah.
But instead,
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Still holding on to that.
Yeah. The Golden State Warriors will win the Western Conference Finals.
Yes.
Easy for me.
I mean, I really want to sell that, but based on the discussion that we had, I think I'm gonna have to change my mind now and buy it. I don't really like saying it, but I think we'll see Golden State in another finals.
Somebody's got to prove it. Somebody will do it someday.
Someday.
But it's probably not going to be this year.
Maybe in 2 seasons from now, possibly.
2, maybe 3.
It'll depend if Durant leaves. I think that might shift it a little. But I still think the Warriors will be above everybody.
Well, they become much more beatable if Durant leaves.
Exactly.
But still easily one of the best teams in the league, even without Durant.
Yeah, somebody still has to prove that they can beat him.
Yeah, that's the thing, the Warriors can get worse, but until somebody even beats that worst version of the Warriors, they were champs before Durant, so why can't they be after Durant?
Exactly. Well, that's all we have for today's show. I'd like to thank Jacob and Michael for joining me, and I'd like to send a big thank you to everyone that has helped with the Sports Hub all school year. The show couldn't be without all your help. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also, please visit UWSP homepage to locate all your important athletic information. As Jake mentioned earlier, this will be our last show this semester and the last show ever for 5 of us here, and who will be graduating in a couple weeks. I'll be graduating, Jake, Malik, Cole, and Paul. You guys can come on out.
There's no Paul. We miss you,
No
Paul.
Paul, unfortunately, but
we
we
miss
have
you, Paul.
Paul and Malik here.
So, Michael, you're obviously still here.
Yeah,
so,
we'll
guys,
still be here next year.
What was your favorite memory here?
Just learning so much and just learning from you guys, just learning. That's my biggest thing, just understanding my role as an analyst, a sports analyst, and just the craft of being a floor manager and going through ups and downs. I've learned so much from you guys, and I'm just appreciative of it. And I can't believe we've made it, and we're about to graduate, man. So it's a beautiful thing to see. But I appreciate you guys, and this is just the beginning for all of us. We're really going to continue to do well, and I'm just that's my best memory is having you guys and just learning.
Malik put it perfect. I learned a lot through doing teleprompter and stuff. Still better than you, Dana. So overall, I learned a lot. Malik touched on everything. Hopefully we'll all keep in touch and stuff. But I learned a ton through that media work and stuff. So I really appreciate all the work you guys did. So
for sure.
Well, as Malik said too, we're all just getting started. So I think we all got bright futures here. SPTV was the first organization that I really got involved with heavily here on campus. And big thanks to Ben Zatuni for getting, I think, at least me and you involved. And I think I got you involved.
Yeah, a couple.
My favorite actual memory is probably from this last fall. It was the last football game that I got to do, Ben's last football game. The Pointers upset the UW-Oshkosh Titans. I think the Titans came in ranked top 5 in the country.
Top 10.
Top 10 in the country.
I think they're 10.
Top 10, so 10. Either way, they were really good. The Pointers were not supposed to win. They played an incredible game. Ben and I got to call that whole game, and we all just had a lot of fun. So football games, and then, like you said, Malik, just spending this time with you guys, getting to do these shows. I'm just thankful for SBTV and everybody that I met here. So.
Yeah, it's been a fun 4 years. Time to move on.
I'm going to miss all of you guys next year. I really hope we all do stay in touch, though, and continue to talk more sports because that never ends for all of us.
Well, and I think we should give a special thanks to Joey because he was the sports director this year. Sports producer, excuse me, not director.
Now that shifts to Michael.
Yep, now we'll be Michael.
I'm excited to take on the role, definitely. I'm hoping to continue all the great work that I've learned from Ben and Joey here over the past year and a half.
And of course, thanks to everybody who has watched anything we've ever done, supported us, checked out the live stream of the sports, and everything like that. So thank you. We're all excited to graduate.
Yep.
So.
Thank you.
Well, you guys at home will see Michael, Alex, and Dana back here in the fall. For the final time this school year, thank you for tuning in to the Sports Hub. Have a great rest of the year, everyone.